Hi, everybody. This is Allison, the director of FSSE. And because we have so many new things happening with FSSE this year, I thought it would be helpful if we had a little video about some of the new customization options and walk through customization together so you know what to expect when you are ready to customize. So once you've registered for FSSE and your registration has been approved, you're going to get an email that looks something like this. This link here is going to take you to your customization form, and we have some resources down here that I think would be really useful to review, particularly this customization options. So when you go there, that's this page. I'm going to keep this up so I can go through some things as we look at the customization form. But it really would be useful to look at this ahead of time and spend some time here because a lot of things have changed. But I'm going to go to my customization for my test school. Okay, so here's what we look like. This is how it's going to open. You're going to have these different resources again. There's one addition here than what was in your email called customizable pathways, and this is probably our biggest change. Maybe one of our biggest changes ever for FSSE. But this is actually the first choice you're going to have to make when you register or when you do your customization. Are you going to create a customizable pathway, or are you going to follow the FSSE Classic administration? So I'll talk about these briefly. But basically it's, do you want to choose your own adventure and pick your own items to go on your FSSE survey? Or do you just want the usual classic survey that maybe you add a module or two at the end? So if you want to see more about the history of why we're doing customizable pathways and a little bit more detail about it, you can see that here in this new customizable pathways link, which you can also get to from this page, but it's here on the navigation. But a lot of this customizing page assumes you kind of understand customizable pathways. Now, I'm going to talk about them both quickly and what it would look like to choose one or the other. But customizable pathway is you now get a very brief core survey. I'll go to the content modules page quick. You get a very brief core content survey. There's not much to it other than demographics. And then after that, you get to pick what's on your survey. So there are item sets that came from the classic core. You could choose some of those or not. There are the item sets that we previously called topical modules. You can choose from that list or not. And then we have a partner project called the College and University Teaching Environment Project that's intended to have institutions help support their faculty in their work. And so we have item sets from that project as well. So as part of your base costs, which was the estimate you got when you registered for FSSE, you can pick any four of these item sets. And that's now your new core. That's going to be very exciting for some people to be able to pick and choose which topics and items they want their faculty to answer. But for some people, you're going to be like, oh, that's too much to think about. And, I just want the usual. Maybe you like the way the classic has always run and you're using it to its fullest extent and you're happy with it. Well, that's fine too. If you choose the FSSE Classic route, then that's the usual same core that you were getting before, with the option to add a module or two, like you could in the past. So I would spend some time looking through particularly the core survey to see if there are things that you're like, well, actually, we never used these items, or, this was never something that we were fully interested in. So maybe we can swap that out for something else, because customizable pathways is intended to help you get the kind of assessment information that you need most. But it sometimes can't beat a classic. So if I do choose the FSSE Classic route, what's going to happen is you get this long list of all of our items, but these top four are pre-selected. And these top four are what made up the previous core survey. So these are going to be pre-selected. I suppose at this point you could take one off if you decided you do, want something different. But then it's no longer classic. It is customizable pathway. But at this point, you could add a module or two if you are eligible for a consortia item set. It should show up here. These are modules from our CUTE project. We're also starting to offer experimental item sets, and these are just item sets that we haven't run before. So it's pilot year, I guess, and we won't charge for these. So if the topic looks interesting to you, we will have the item sets that you can look at when it's finished. We'll get that posted. but this would be a free add-on. So if the topic is of interest to you, we'll add it and not charge you. You get 4 item sets for your base cost, which was the cost you got at registration. Every additional item set is going to cost a little more, so check out our pricing page. But you could choose technically as many as you want, although I probably wouldn't do more than 2, just because the survey is going to get pretty long. So that's what the classic route would look like. Let me go back. If you do know you're going to want to change some things, you don't want the full core, you want to completely customize, you can do the customizable pathway, and it's going to look much the same. It's just there's nothing pre-selected. So now you could, say, well, we still really loved these items, but we're really interested in civic engagement and teaching professional development. We're also looking at our hiring, tenure, promotion. So let's, ask questions about that. And let's see, how many did I get? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be covered in our base cost. And you're like, actually, we're so interested in instructional staff well-being that we might as well ask that too. So I'm going to add on an extra. And then, sure, data cultures and data literacy sounds interesting. I'll add that too. Okay, so this would be my customizable pathway. They'll again get this short set of items, and then additionally, whatever ones you choose here. So I'm going to go next. All right, the next choice you have to make is about messaging. And there's information again here on this customizing webpage about the differences between the two, pros and cons. But basically, we want you to choose, do you want our staff, my staff, to deliver the recruitment emails for you? Or do you want to send your own recruitment emails? And there are pros and cons to both. Most institutions do have us send the recruitment emails, but at some institutions, it just makes more sense for it to come from an internal email. And we started offering that a couple years ago. So you can get information about that here, what our messages would look like, some technology kind of things to keep in mind. But even if you're going to send your own messages, we're still going to require a population file so that we can create individual links for you to send to your faculty. So I'll show you what each of these looks like as well. So if you want us to send you recruitment messages, you're then going to choose which schedule you want. We added some more schedules. We had gotten some requests from schools for some later schedules. So we now go a little further into April than we used to. And if we're sending the messages, you also have the option to add your own signatory. So this could be, names and titles of people who are sending it out. It could be some kind of, for more information about this project, contact, blah, blah, blah at whatever office, whatever information would be useful for us to include on this invitation message. We will default to whoever it is registered your institution, but you're probably going to end up changing that. So selecting your timeline, and then customizing your signatory. That's what we'll need if we're going to send your messages. I'm going to go back now. If you want to send the messages yourself, it's a little bit different. All that we ask here is that you give us a little heads up on when you think you're going to send out the messages. And we're not going to hold you to this. If it ends up being a week earlier or later, that's fine. We're just using this as a way to check in and make sure that it looks like it did launch, that people are responding, that you're not getting a lot of bounce backs and things like that. So we just want to help make sure things went through. So we just want a heads up on when you intend to launch your own administration, so we can keep an eye on it for you. So I'll just pick one of these, late March. And then the last thing is about your population file. So there's a lot of details again on this customizing page. And there's, the instructions are here. I know last year a lot of people had trouble downloading the CSV file, so we have it uploaded a different way that should be much easier. So sorry if you were one of those people. We think we fixed it. But the first thing we're hoping people do is confirm the size they gave us when they registered. So here, when I registered this test school, I said I was going to have fewer than 100 instructional staff. If that's still true, I'm just going to confirm that that's still true. If maybe we had a big year and ended up hiring a bunch of people, I can change it here. But this will then determine your final cost. And when you upload your population file, we want to make sure that your estimate was accurate to what you actually sent us. And then we'll ask for you to upload that population file. So I just have a little test one here that I'll pop in. The next thing then, after we've done that, you're going to get some information about your final cost. So everyone has a registration fee. There's your base cost depending on the size of your population file. And remember, I chose some extra item sets in addition to the 4 that you get as part of your base cost. So I have slightly higher fee than I did with just the base cost. Now, if you're done and you feel good about this, you can submit. You're going to get an email with those choices. Our staff will look over everything. You'll get an approval message with your final choices. But frankly, sometimes you submit these things and then you realize, oh, actually, we want a different item set or we need to change our schedule. And that's okay. For as long as customization is open, you're going to be able to go to your dashboard. It'll kind of look like this. It looks weird because I have different permissions than you'll have. But there's going to be a make or edit your customization choices box here, and it will have a link that you can click on and go to and reopen that form so that if you need to change anything or edit anything, put in a new pop file, change the dates, you decided to customize, whatever it is, you can still make those choices and changes until customization closes. So it's good to think about it early just because so many things have changed, but you do have time if you need to change some things later. Hopefully that's not too confusing. We're definitely hoping that the customization options are exciting and that you're able to fine tune some of the data that you collect from your faculty. But do let us know if you want any kind of consultation or help thinking through the items you might want to choose. We're happy to assist. Just let us know because we are really excited to be working with you.